Welcome to the channel. The world is stranger than you think, and sometimes a little freaky. From fish with a parasite that becomes their tongue, to lakes that can silently explode, the things you're about to see are real, and they'll blow your mind. Now, here are 30 mind-blowing facts that might freak you out, just a little. After death, gases escaping through a body's vocal cords can create whistling or groaning sounds, which is why morgue workers sometimes hear voices from the dead. A rat king happens when multiple rats become physically tangled together by their tails. The tails can get stuck with dirt, sap, blood, feces, or even frozen together in cold weather. Once bound, the rats are forced to live as a horrifying cluster, moving and feeding together. For centuries, people thought rat kings were just myths or omens of doom. The phenomenon is rare but has been documented in Europe since the 1500s. Some preserved specimens are kept in museums. The largest one, found in Germany in the 1800s, had 32 rats knotted together. Just imagining this knot of writhing, squeaking rats trying to move as one freaks me out. A rare medical condition called limbal dermoid causes a person's eyeball to grow skin tissue, complete with hair follicles. Yes, some people actually grow little patches of hair on their eyes. This nightmare of the sea is a parasitic isopod that targets fish. It swims in through the gills and latches onto the fish's tongue. Once attached, it actually drains blood from the tongue until the tongue withers away completely. But here's the truly disturbing part. Instead of just feeding and leaving, the parasite takes the tongue's place. It anchors itself to the stub of muscle left behind, and the fish begins to use the parasite as if it were its own tongue. The parasite doesn't kill the fish. It just becomes a permanent part of its body. Scientists believe this is the only known case in nature where a parasite fully replaces an organ of its host and continues to function in its place. So, in Madagascar, there's this banyan tree that folks have actually nicknamed the metal-eating tree. Over time, its roots and trunk have completely swallowed up things like bicycles, fences, and even tools that people left nearby, locking them inside its wood. Pretty wild, right? Back in medieval Europe, people really believed that corpses could chew through their burial shrouds. It's an eerie myth, but it was actually used to explain outbreaks of plague. Kinda spooky when you think about it. The deep-sea hatchetfish, which is honestly fascinating, upward-facing tubular eyes that can rotate slightly. This adaptation allows it to look for faint silhouettes of prey or predators above it, while remaining nearly invisible in the deep ocean. But that's not all. The eyes are covered with mirrored layers that reflect light internally. This gives the fish something like built-in night vision goggles, letting it detect the tiniest glimmers of light from bioluminescent creatures far above. So here's a wild one. Cordyceps fungi actually infect ants' bodies and take control of their minds, forcing them to climb up plants before, well, killing them, and then growing right out of their corpses. Pretty creepy, right? Human bones, believe it or not, can last for thousands of years. Sometimes they even outlive the civilizations the people once belonged to. It's kind of amazing to think about, honestly. Back in 1959, 9 hikers in Russia were found dead under some really strange circumstances. Some had missing eyes, others had fractured skulls, and to this day, nobody really knows what happened. It's still a mystery. Here's something wild. Back in the Middle Ages, people actually ground up mummified remains into a powder and, believe it or not, sold it as medicine for just about any illness. In Northern Europe, bodies that were buried in bogs thousands of years ago still have skin, hair, and even fingernails preserved. It's honestly pretty amazing how well those bogs keep things intact. Rupkund Lake in India is nicknamed Skeleton Lake because whenever the snow melts, hundreds of human skeletons appear all around its shores. It's definitely one of the more mysterious places out there. The Black Sea nettle has tentacles that can reach up to 25 feet long, and they're actually strong enough to sting right through a wetsuit. In rare cases, a human heart can keep beating briefly even after it's been removed from the body. Talk about take a licking and keep on ticking. Sometimes gases from decomposition force a fetus out of a pregnant corpse, a disturbing event known as coffin birth. It usually occurs within a few days after death, under conditions where decomposition is rapid. Historically, before modern embalming, it was occasionally observed and recorded, which is why the term coffin birth emerged. Here's a wild fact. The Japanese pufferfish contains a toxin so strong that just one fish can kill a human in minutes. And, believe it or not, there's no antidote. There's a rare medical phenomenon called lithopedion. It happens when a fetus dies during pregnancy and over time becomes calcified inside the mother's body. Sometimes it can actually remain there for decades. Some whales, amazingly, are found with scars the size of cars. These marks are evidence of violent encounters with giant squids deep in the ocean. Here's an interesting fact. When you blush, your stomach lining blushes too. Yeah, the effect is hidden, but it actually happens every single time your cheeks turn red. Some bodies, believe it or not, develop a waxy coating called adipocere. This strange substance can preserve them for centuries in a near-perfect state. The tiny hydra is kind of amazing. It can regenerate endlessly and shows no signs of aging at all, making it, well, biologically immortal. So get this, the world's largest flower, known as the Titan arum, actually smells like rotting flesh when it blooms. Yeah, it's strong enough to attract flies from miles away. Pretty wild, right? Archaeologists have discovered skulls that are like 7,000 years old, with holes drilled in them from brain surgery. And believe it or not, some of the patients actually survived. How incredible is that? In Africa, certain deep lakes can suddenly release massive clouds of carbon dioxide, silently suffocating everything nearby, including people. Since carbon dioxide is heavier than air, it pools in low areas, suffocating everything in its path. Back in 1986, Lake Nyos released a cloud that killed around 1,700 people and thousands of livestock in nearby villages, silently and without warning. These events are rare, but the danger still persists because the lakes are still full of carbon dioxide. So here's a pretty wild fact. Rarely people can actually grow horn-like structures made of keratin on their heads. These are known as cutaneous horns. Did you know your liver is one of the only organs that can fully regenerate, even if 70% of it is removed? Yeah, it's pretty amazing how our bodies work sometimes. Every suction cup on an octopus's arm has taste receptors, which means they can actually taste everything they touch. That's just wild if you think about it. On Mount Everest, water boils at such a low temperature that your boiling tea would barely be warm enough to drink. It's kind of surprising, right? The Mariana snailfish, found deep in the ocean, has skin so thin you can see its liver and stomach while it's still alive. Nature never ceases to amaze. And there you have it. 30 facts that prove our world is far stranger, and sometimes scarier, than we ever imagined. Which one of these freaky truths shocked you the most? Comment below and let us know. And if you want to keep exploring the weirdest, creepiest corners of our planet, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because the truth out there is even stranger than what you just saw.